Good? Ready? All right, we're going to bring this meeting back to order.
All right, good evening and welcome to the Queen Anne's County Commissioners meeting. This is a public meeting that is being aired live on our local cable television station, QACTV 7. These media broadcasts provide county citizens an opportunity to watch and review our scheduled public meetings. In addition to our live audience this evening, we are providing remote options for citizens to watch and participate in county commissioner meetings. Citizens may watch our meeting live on our website at qac.org/live or on our television channel, Breezeline Channel 7 and High Definition Channel 507. Citizens may also participate by joining the live Zoom meeting by going to qac.org/public comment. Citizens may also email comments to publiccomment@qac.org. All comments received will be summarized during the press and public comment period on tonight's agenda. We acknowledge everyone's participation, and by attending, you acknowledge that this session is both recorded and aired. Press and public comment will be taken and is limited to 3 minutes per person. If you do care to speak, please sign up at the information table in the lobby. Comments longer than 3 minutes can be submitted in writing for the Commissioner's review. We will now stand and be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Commission President Jim Moran.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, that brings us to the tonight's agenda. So our agenda for tonight's meeting, February 27th, along with the regular session minutes, the closed session minutes, the Roads Board's minutes, the Sanitary Commission minutes from our February 13th meeting, and the closed session minutes from the January 31st meeting have been circulated for review. Do we have any additions and or corrections?
Motion to approve the agenda and all the above minutes as submitted.
Second. A motion is second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? So moved.
Thank you, Commissioners. So we just held a closed session under General Provisions Article 305B1 to discuss personnel, and there were no decisions made on personnel this evening. So I believe that brings us to press and public comment. So we have our first press and public comment period. Appreciate all citizens for taking time to express views to the County Commissioners. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Comments longer than 3 minutes may be submitted in writing. This commission respects your desire and right to convey your message freely. When you come forward, please speak clearly at the standing microphone. State your name, your address, and your topic of interest. And in keeping with the dignity of our office, we ask that all views be expressed in a respectful and civil manner.
Jay Falstead.
Commissioners, Jay Falstad, Queen Anne's Conservation Association. I don't want my comments here to be interpreted one way or the other here. This is just a matter of public interest. So, earlier today I did get a call from a resident of Sothersville wondering about tonight's meeting on the water and sewer amendment. And there were two issues concerning this. One was that the sign that was, I guess, near the middle school didn't have information on it. All it had was that there's a notice that there's going to be water and sewer, and it provided a phone number. But it didn't provide any information on dates or when the meeting was, any of that. There's also no notification along Elevator Road, which goes along the back end of Sothersville. There's also no notification on the Town of Sothersville's website about tonight's meeting. And so there is a very good probability that most residents of Sothersville don't even know about tonight's meeting. And so just as a matter of public interest, since the Foxfields project is one of the biggest subdivisions to come down the pike in a very long time, I guess I would urge that you all consider postponing tonight's hearing until proper notification can be advanced so that citizens actually know what this is about, how it's going to impact their community. I don't think it's an unreasonable request, but the sign that's up there right now is not even a permanent sign. It's just on 2x4s that the wind's blown it over. I sent you all a picture just a little while ago. And so I think just as a general matter of public interest, postponing tonight's hearing is probably not an unreasonable request. So with that, thanks for your time.
Thank you. Keith Griffith?
Hi, Keith Griffith, 120 South Church Street, Sudlersville, Maryland. I would also like to talk about Sudlersville. I understand your request made, but we've also postponed and delayed things for 15 plus years. So with that, I would like to start by saying that the Commissioner of Sudlersville fully support the amendment for the following reasons. Number one, it is consistent with the town's comprehensive plan. The property has been within the town limits for years, so this is no new annexation or anything like that. The owner has met all the town's planning and zoning requirements and has been in the review process for about 2 years. The amendment is the last remaining step. The town expanded its sewer and water facilities based on its comprehensive plan for servicing vacant properties within the town limits moving forward. So it's important to utilize these developments to start paying towards the debt services for the town's sewer and water facilities that we currently have. And this amendment is also consistent with the county's 2022 comprehensive plan update, which moves growth to the towns due to the limited availability of sewer within the county. I'd like to respectfully ask that we move forward with this. I think that the people of Sudlersville have been delayed long enough with getting ourselves back on track where they need to be to become the prominent town we were before. So I'd ask that we move forward with this public hearing and get to a resolution as soon as we possibly can. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all that signed up. Would anybody else like to speak at this time? Thank you.
Commissioners, this comes from Cindy Hardesty. I would like to bring up the Route 8 overpass closing due to heavy traffic at the Bay Bridge. We oppose any further action or study to stop motorists from using Route 8 ramps onto 50 West. It is absurd to expect the people who are basically trapped, mostly Queen Anne's County residents, because of the extreme excessive traffic to inconvenience us even more. We are prisoners already, and to add further insult is unacceptable and a horrible plan. So please duly take note that we do not want this kind of unnecessary restrictions done in the future. We realize someone believes they are appeasing the complaints of the disaster of the Bay Bridge situation, but it is evident that it is not helpful or a solution. Regards, Cynthia Hardesty. And that's all I have.
Good. All right, we'll close press and public comment. I'm sure that the last one was from the notice that's been mailed for Town Hall, talking about the bridge and the options of ramp closures April 10th at 6:30 p.m. at Bayside Elementary. So anybody that can get there, come on out, voice your opinions, and we'll see where that takes us. Very good. Moving on. All right.
Okay, Commissioners, we can move into the legislative portion of this evening's agenda. If you want to turn to tab number 7. Tab number 7, pages 1 through 2. This is the information for the Comprehensive Water and Sewer Plan Proposed Amendment. This is a public hearing for the Fox Farm subdivision within the town of Sudlersville. This is an amendment request to upgrade the sewer and water service map designation from S3W3 to S2W2. So, Mr. Thompson, would you come up, and Mr. Quimby? So we have Pat Thompson, our county attorney, and our director of public works, Alan Quimby. So, gentlemen, perhaps maybe you could describe the required public notification process.
Well, the county code doesn't require it to be published in the newspaper or general circulation in the county for 2 successive weeks.
So you don't
At the
have to
town of
post.
Sudlersville, you're saying the town of Sudlersville has to do this?
No,
The county.
doesn't prevent the county or sewer plan.
So it doesn't need to be posted with signs? Okay.
There's a legal requirement for it.
No, we take that additional step, and if you look at those pictures of the sign, you see the PVC tube inside of which are copies of the advertisement. In addition, we mail all adjacent property owners a copy of the advertisement. In addition, we put those signs similar to the orange sign in front of the town hall. I made a decision not to put it on Elevator Road because I thought it'd either be stolen or shot up.
That happens over here?
Happens up there.
North County.
You need to get that stuff straight, Jack.
Hey, I love it. We don't have no strangers.
Please proceed.
Public hearing being held with the county commissioners of Queen Anne's County, 5:30 p.m. Tuesday, February 27, 2024, in
in the Commissioner Meeting Room, Liberty Building, 107 North Liberty Street, Centerville, Maryland. Purpose of the hearing is to consider amending the Queen Anne's County 2011 Comprehensive Water and Sewage Plan. In addition to the hearing, an informational presentation was made at 5:35 p.m. on Tuesday, February 13, 2024, also in the Commissioner Meeting Room. Copies of the proposed amendment have been available at the office of the County Commissioner of Queen Anne's County, 107 North Liberty Street, Centerville, Maryland, and available electronically by sending a request to aquimby@qac.org. All hearing sites are accessible to individuals with disabilities. Sign language interpreters and assistive listening systems are available. Persons who wish to comment on the proposed amendment may do so at this hearing. Limited to 3 minutes each, but written testimony of any length may be submitted on before the hearing date. The Director of Public Works, 312 Safety Drive, Centerville, Maryland. Part of the record of the proceeding will be a certificate of publication indicating that notice of the hearing was published in the Bay Times Record Observer for 2 successive weeks prior to tonight's hearing. The amendment under consideration is the Fox Farm subdivision within the town of Sudlersville. This property, owned by Fox Farms LLC, is predominantly vacant agricultural lands which reside within the incorporated limits of the town of Sudlersville. It is shown on tax map 13G as parcel 17, approximately 96 acres in size, and is zoned single-family residential. The proposal is to allow for the construction of 98 townhomes and 125 single-family lots. Property currently holds the sewer and water service map designation of S3W3. The amendment requested to upgrade the sewer and water service map designation to S2W2, which equates service on demand. Flows from the use are anticipated to be 55,750 gallons per day. Sewer and water service will be provided by the town of Sudlersville sewer and water system. Joe, you represent the applicant.
Good evening, Commissioners. Joseph Stevens on behalf of Fox Farm and the applicant. This is a county master water and sewer plan amendment. It's not an action by, the town of Sudlersville. And what I'll do is just provide for the record an aerial photo that shows the location of the property, which is within the town limits, as Mr. Thompson had described it, just to have that included as part of the record.
Without objection.
Thank you. And then also the county's 2 master water and sewer plan maps, one for sewer, one for water, which shows this is designated in the purple you can see as W3 and S3. So that's for planned service within 4 to 10 years, as equated to in this plan was from 2014 to 2020 is when it was planned to have service. This property was annexed into Sudlersville years ago. And is part of the Sudlersville's growth area, and as the county is most recently, with their comprehensive plan 2022 update, has earmarked and moved and has a significant policy where the growth is to occur within the towns that have the sewer and water facilities. Clearly, Sudlersville has the sewer and water facilities. You have a letter from the town commissioners, which I assume is also part of the record for the hearing. Ellen has that. Okay, thank you. And our application is part of the record. And so you can see that the town of Sudlersville has had capacity for quite some time. And you heard Mr. Griffith say, one of the town commissioners, say that, these projects in areas that are already in the town, this isn't a new annexation area, are important to come online so that the towns can pay their debt service on these plants that they expanded in anticipation of this growth. This is what happened back after, we had our boom years in 2006, 7, and 8, is that none of these developments materialized, none of them around Sudlersville. But the plant did get expanded, and so there is capacity for that, and there's debt service that needs to be paid as a result of that. The only other thing I'd like to point out is that I've been through the master water sewer plan, and this property, this request meets every requirement of the master water and sewer plan, every prerequisite. And you can certainly, ask the Director of Public Works whether he concurs with that or not. But essentially, for a property to become S2 from S3, it has to have an approved concept plan. Well, we have an approved preliminary and final subdivision plan. The final is conditional final because we have to get the amendment in order to get allocation. We can't do a public works agreement until it's S2, W2. Critical area growth allocation has been awarded. That's not applicable. It's not in the critical area. Sewer and water allocations have been granted. Well, we can't do that. We can't get it granted until after we're into S2, W2. That there's capacity, you have the letter from that. And then afterwards, the Department of Environment, after you act, as you know, will have to act, and they have to agree, or they can, deny the request. I can't see why they would or how they would. The other requirements are that you have a signed letter from the town indicating that the amendment's consistent with its plan. You have that. That you have a signed letter from the town indicating that there's capacity. You have that. And a signed letter from the town requesting that the project be amended into the master water and sewer plan. You have that. And the reason you have that is because this isn't new to the town. They've been working on this for over 2 years, as Mr. Griffith said. I mean, this has been to the Planning Commission several times, and it's been discussion items at the town commissioners' meetings several times. Final requirements, if this were within the county, you'd have to have a concept plan by the Planning Commission. Again, we have preliminary and final subdivision approval, final subject to this, and the positive recommendation from the county, which equates to the town, and you have that positive recommendation. So there's no further that this can go without an amendment. I mean, it needs the amendment to the master water and sewer plan. It's consistent with the plan. From a timing standpoint, the plan itself is it's already several years later than what the county's plan anticipated for this property to be, to be served with public sewer and water. And that's just because the market just wasn't there, and that's why Sudlersville's had some of the debt service issues that it's had over the past 4, 5, 6 years. So we'd ask that you act on it. In terms of, public facilities and so on and so forth, while the town is not subject to the adequate public facilities ordinance. They did require a traffic study be done, and the traffic study showed levels of service A's for all intersections that State Highway wanted studied, and that was part of the subdivision approval process. And from a school standpoint, I think Mr. Cahoon and Mr. Quimby have provided you with data that shows significant capacity in both the elementary and middle. And in regards to the high school here in Centerville, there may be some slight overages of capacity as we look out 10 years, and this full build-out is going to be at least 10 years. And from that standpoint, the county's going to have to address that because they've moved so much growth to the town. Centerville's going to have projects, and they're in the pipeline. And you've got the Wheatland Farms down in Queenstown, and you've got some other properties around that will be going to Centerville High School. But because of the slow build out of this, and I have somebody here from La Crosse Homes that's who Fox Farms LLC is La Crosse. They'll be able to tell you, from the time they put a shovel in the ground, they're probably looking at a 10-year build-out for the project. So we hope you act on it, and if you have any questions, I'm here. Kevin Sharon here, who's also the project engineer, if you have a more technical question.
So my understanding is it's not subject to an APFO.
APFO is not applicable in the towns. The towns don't have an APFO. The county's ordinance does not apply to properties in the town. The county's impact fee ordinance, however, does. So they will pay over $2 million in impact fees that will go to whatever capital improvements, school improvements, expansions, and things like that. So APF doesn't apply, but impact fees apply. So you don't get around that. It's about $10,000 a unit that they'll be paying in impact fees. All right, thank you, Commissioners. Thank you,
Is
Pat.
there any further comment from the town? Or shall we go?
For, are you for the project?
Am I for it?
Yes. Okay, wait, he's going to get to you.
Town doesn't have any further.
Like I said, I'd like to follow up on my request that we move forward with this, as like I said, we dealt with enough delays within the town of Sudlersville, and that's the reason we're in the position we're in now.
All right, thank you. The other person I have signed up is Bruce Orr.
Hi, good evening. My name is Bruce Orr. I actually work for Lacrosse Homes.
There you go.
Sorry for my height. One of the things that I want to bring up, and we talked about, is the impact that this development will have on the local economy. The people that we employ to build these homes is plumbers, people that are doing the framing work, doing the concrete work. So there's multiple organizations that are positively impacted by the development of this community. So not only will it supply homes for people that need housing, but also apply jobs for the folks that are working for our company as well. So, and also employing the folks that do work for Lacrosse Homes. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I have signed up. Is there someone else that had a comment? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Patty Waz. I live in Sudlersville, Maryland. A couple things. There has not been an impact study done on the schools, and I can tell you that the middle school and the elementary school are not equipped to handle this population right now, as well as the infrastructure of the fire hall, the police department, et cetera. And it's just a shame it has to come to this because of a bad decision that was made several years ago with the water tower, and now the town's broke because of this. I think there's other ways to go about it, but I think everyone needs to take a hard look at the infrastructure, because that was not true what he said, that the elementary school and the middle school is able to hold the capacity today.
I was just quoting the staff report.
Yeah, that's wrong. So that's all. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
We'll close public comment. We'll hold the vote for 2 weeks. And,
Hold the comment open for 2 weeks, too.
same, yes. Thank you, Jay.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. All right, continuing on, Commissioners, with our agenda under legislation, we have a Community Development Block Grant request for a second public hearing. And as part of the Community Development Block Grant requirements, we must hold an additional public hearing to present a progress report for several projects, which I will list here in a minute. The purpose of the hearing is to update the public on the activities and accomplishments resulting from the use of the allocated grant funds. First one is Queen Anne's County Adaptive Reuse Feasibility Study for the former Sudlersville Middle School. The second one is the COVID-19 grant, Emergency Rental Assistance and Home Delivered Meals. And the last one is for the new roof for the Foxtown Senior Center and Apartments. And Mr. Mike Clark, Chief of Housing, is here to officiate the hearing. So Mike, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much. And thank you. And as Todd said, we are required by the federal government Housing Urban Development HUD, which is overseen for us at the state level, the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development, to hold hearings for our Community Development Block Grant. You may recall when we were here last week, or the last meeting for the Department of Community Services, we touched on the fact that the Community Development Block Grant has a lot of I's to be dotted and a lot of T's to be crossed, but at the same point, it provides some pretty nice resources for our county, and we have to do a lot of work to make it happen. We're lucky enough to have Kelly Huber, who you might recall is a former Carrot Counts person, but now she's a housing program administrator, and under one of her duties is to oversee and make sure that we are doing the work for the Community Development Block Grant. And as Todd mentioned, we're required to have 2 hearings for every project, and this is the second hearing for 3 projects as we work to kind of wrap up most of them. So with your permission, I'd just like to move forward, introduce one project, see if we have any comments on it, and then move to the next one. The first project is the Queen Anne's County Adaptive Reuse Feasibility Study of the former Sudlersville Middle School. And the feasibility study was successfully completed in December 2022. The grant period officially ended in November 23. It has comprehensively assessed the former Sudlersville Middle School building and grounds, offering value insights into the adaptive reuse options. The recommendations highlights efficient and cost-effective approaches for redevelopment, paving the way for informed decision-making of that building. And we don't have anyone signed up for that. Okay. The next one is the COVID-19 Emergency Rental Assistance and Home Delivered Meals Grant. The Home Delivered Meals Program, supported by a COVID-19 grant, successfully provided nutritious meals to residents aged 60 and over. Originally awarded through a community development block grant for rental assistance and quarantine sheltering, the program demonstrated adaptability by amending the grant to redirect funds to address critical needs. Prior to closing, Home Delivered Meals was offered additional funds of $39,000 through CDBG and an extension of time. We were able to utilize the additional funds to support seniors in Queen Anne's County, closing and completing the project in December of 2023. And we don't have anyone sign any comments on that either. And then lastly is the new roof for the Foxtown Senior Center and Apartments. The Queen Anne's County Division of Housing and Community Services secured $650,000 to replace the roofs of the Sudlersville Senior Center and Foxtown Senior Partners, addressing water leakage issues. The roofing projects are near completion, and it appears that there may be surplus funds available. These extra funds offer the opportunity to undertake additional small projects and upgrades within the facilities, enhancing the overall quality and functionality. And that, we don't have anyone signed up to that yet either. So with that, that's everything we got.
Very well. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you very much.
Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
You know, Mike, just because there's nobody here signed up to speak, that doesn't mean that the work you do isn't critical. So,
I'm completely fine with the way it went.
thank you very much.
Usually they only show up when they're against something.
Exactly.
They're doing good.
Take solace in that, Mike.
All right, Commissioners, we can move into the presentations portion of our meeting this evening. So that would be tab number 6. Item 1 on pages 1 through 16, we have Miss Kelly Hamilton. She's going to come up and give us an update on our Animal Services Division. And that presentation is in your book, again, pages 1 through 16, item 1. And we also have it up on the screen for our viewing audience as well. So, Kelly, take it away.
All right. Hi, everybody.
Welcome.
Good to see you all. Hello. So I want to go ahead and talk to you a little bit about the successes and some of the other things moving forward here that we had in 2023 and what to expect in 2024 from Animal Services. So we want to talk a little bit about our intake. Our intake was actually an increase of 29% from 2022. Okay, I know that dog wearing the sweater is precious. So our intake is based on the different categories that you see there. So strays continue to be our highest number intake into the shelter, and this year it was almost 600 animals that came in. Good portion of those are going to still be those young stray kittens that people are finding in litters, okay? But that number was substantially higher than it was last year. Owner and guardian surrenders, just shy of 300 this year. Our return adoption numbers are actually down from 60 to 49 from 2022 to 2023. And we'll talk a little bit about some of those things moving forward as to why we're able to start decreasing that number. Seized custody, this is animals that are coming in through animal control for various reasons. Service in, we talk a little bit about that. That number is substantially higher, and the reason is because we have started to do all of our spay-neuter grant that comes through the Department of Ag. We're actually doing all of those services now in-house instead of outsourcing them to Spay Now and other various animal hospitals. So that number is substantially higher, which is in fact a great thing. Cats will always continue to be our highest species coming in to the shelter at just under 850. dogs 371. Other could be anything from, we had a turtle this year, we had a stray snake, believe it or not, all sorts of different creatures that do find their way to us. So we'll talk a little bit about what those strays are and what we do when they come in. Dogs and cats and all these other little creatures that do find their way, they automatically go on a 7-day stray hold. This allows time for the owners to come forward, claim their animal. Animals at that time, through Maryland state law, are required for a rabies vaccine if they're old enough, which is 12 weeks and older. Before they're released, they will get those vaccines. Depending on any medical conditions, we may go ahead and start them on any type of treatment. If they come in injured, we start them on pain meds or seek out veterinary help. 166 animals that came in as strays found their way back home in 2023, and that's a 39% increase from 2022. And really what we did is we've ramped up our social media campaign when these animals do come into strays. We actually teamed up with Petco Love Lost. They actually are using facial recognition for animals to help you find that animal. It's amazing, the technology is there. So we're using facial recognition to try to get these animals back home. So not only that, but all these animals have to be spayed or neutered after they come in as strays. If nobody claims them, we have got to provide that surgery for them. So our surgery success, we did 889 surgeries in 2023 on site. That is a 100% increase from 2022. 669 were routine spay neuters, 206 were TNR, our trap neuter release program, if you recall, did begin in April of 2022. We've done 25 so far in 2024, so we're on par to make 250 TNR surgeries this year. Specialty surgeries, that's anything from amputations, eye removal, entropion, other types of eye surgeries. And so we're going to talk a little bit about this kitten Umbrella. So she came in by a Good Samaritan, found her. And when she came into the shelter, she was unable to open up her eyes. And this is due to a severe bacterial infection that they get prior to when they are actually able to open up their eyes as kittens. That bacteria gets in there, and what happens is the eyes become infected. And because of this, that severe infection, when she came to us, her eyelids actually fused together. And so even after that appropriate age of being able to open her eyes, she was unable to. So what we had to do is we did on both eyes lateral canthoplasties. This is a specialty surgery, and thankfully we have a vet that travels down from Philadelphia, and she performed it on site for us. So you can kind of see the before and a little bit of that after picture of Umbrella. And that being able to do that procedure on site actually saved the shelter several $1,000s if we had to outsource that procedure. So we'll talk a little bit about adoptions. So we adopted out 679 animals in 2023. And one of the things I want to stress about adoptions is a lot of people don't realize that there's a lot of effort and preparation to get these animals ready for that adoption floor, ready for us to really be able to announce that we have them and that they're ready for their family. So we'll go ahead and cite two specifics, one dog and one cat. Marley, the dog, arrived at Animal Services when her owner could no longer care for her. Marley was very anxious in the kennel, and so she actually started to regress. She didn't really have any confidence left in her. Us getting her out of the kennel with the staff was very difficult. She really just wanted to be on her own and cower in a corner. Bailey the cat. Bailey arrived to Animal Services, actually adjusted fine, but she was bored as can be. And so anytime the staff member would go ahead and put their hands in the cage, so, just go ahead and, give her love or food and water. Well, she thought everything was a toy. And so she was just a very spunky girl. And that's going to take some time to really find her a home because, people don't know what to expect with a cat like that. So we really do spend a lot of time with enrichment and behavior protocols with animals like this. And it takes a lot of time. Marley spent 218 days with Animal Services before she found her new family. That's a long time. That's a long time in the shelter. We invest a lot in these animals. And as you can see, she is not shy or afraid of anything anymore. She lives in a home with children. She goes everywhere with them. Now, Bailey spent 129 days at Animal Services before she found her new family. And I can tell you specifically, I get weekly updates on Bailey because those pictures are from my parents' living room.
From your parents, what?
My parents' living room.
Oh.
My parents adopted Bailey. So
Did they do that voluntarily, or did you persuade
They
them?
were actually looking for a cat, and they wanted a cat that had been sitting with us for a while, and one that was going to be a challenge to find a home for. So yeah, I get weekly updates. I saw her on New Year's Eve. So, but again, it takes a special person. It really takes our team to invest all this time and energy in these animals to get them ready for that adoption floor. So while we're talking about these animals and what the investment is, we really should mention that fosters are really what makes a lot of this work, especially when it comes to animals that come to us that have medical issues, that walk in that door, and we know they're not going to be ready for the adoption floor because that medical is going to take some time for us to cure and treat. So meet Ruckus. Ruckus was brought to us by animal control during a property seizure. Ruckus was immediately evaluated by our veterinary staff for his obvious skin and medical issues. He has what you're looking at right there is called demodectic mange and flea bite dermatitis. So this animal had never seen a vet, had never undergone any type of treatment. Now, while the treatment's very easy, it's time consuming. That is actually, that treatment takes months for us to cure. So we put the word out. We asked our wonderful community who can help foster this dog because he will not be ready for adoption for quite some time. And of course, the community answered our plea. And just in time for the holidays, Ruckus was adopted on December 15th after his foster family failed and decided to go ahead and keep this wonderful dog. Now, because Ruckus had never really had great interaction, didn't really know about the proper rules of a dog living in a home, that's when we use and rely a lot on our on-staff behaviorist. So our behaviorists work with them weekly to really give them the tips and everything that they needed to keep this dog in the home happy with the family. So there's obviously an adjustment period for that, but I do love that picture down there where he's got the red bow and he's sitting under the Christmas tree because he was the family gift that year, so that's great. Talking about our fosters and our volunteers, they are our true heroes. We could not be as successful as we are without them. So 389 animals relied on foster care in 2023. Majority of those are kittens, but it needs to be said about our dogs that go into foster, a dog like Ruckus, or a dog that just needs a break from the shelter. So we have a program, there are doggy day trips or slumber parties. And that's when the community can just come in and take a dog out to the park, give it a break for several hours from the shelter, let them decompress. Or they could take them home for the weekend. Sometime a weekend turns into a week, sometimes it turns into an adoption, but it gives these dogs a chance to decompress. You can see Shirley just laying in someone's sunroom. Instead of being at the shelter and staying in those runs, for, I hate to say, but sometimes 18 hours a day. And so that really is also what we get to learn too, is how are these dogs behaving in the home? Because shelter behavior does not mimic behavior in a home. There's no substitute. So it really gives us some insight as to how these animals do at home so we can better place them for our adoption process. Our volunteers, this is an amazing number. So our volunteers logged 2,878 hours in 2023. And that's an increase of 78% from 2022. And moving on, when we talk about what we're doing this year in 2024, this is our initiative for the community. We are out there in the community. I'll talk about some programs that we have going on. But I can imagine that we will see yet another massive increase in 2024 for our community involvement with our fosters and our volunteers. We are also starting to work with different schools in the area. They are actually going to be sending volunteers our way too through a humane education program this year. So we have some students coming. We're still working on the details of that, but our volunteer numbers are going to skyrocket. So we're really excited about that. So just some of the highlights of 2023. There's no way I could list them all. We did Critter Camp, and I don't even think that made our list up there. But in 2023, we did our first annual Pawing and Love Fun Run. We worked with Parks and Rec on that. We just had our second one on February 10th, and the outcome was even better than the first, so we'll continue to do that. Puppy yoga, everybody likes to get a little chuckle about this one, and you can see the picture. I swear they exercised. It was not all just puppy fun. But we were so lucky to be graced with a pregnant dog in January of 2023 who gave us 11 puppies. So what do you do when you have 11 puppies? You invite the Y. You invite the Y to come over to the shelter and do puppy yoga. That's what you do. So we will, so far, don't have puppies yet, but we will plan on kitten yoga because the instructors who did it last year are already saying when we're doing another event. So we'll be certainly doing some more yoga events at the shelter. We did our first annual Foster and Volunteer Appreciation Awards luncheon. We did that at Conquest Beach. Despite the windy day, it was beautiful. It was a great turnout. And our second annual is planned for May 18th of this year. So we will honor our volunteers, we will honor our fosters, and they all get specific awards based on the animals that they fostered or the impact that they had with specific animals. So we're really excited about that. We participate in National Clear the Shelter event. This is run by NBC and Hill Science Diet. This was our second year of participating, and we do it through the entire month of August. So the month of August of 2023, we adopted just shy, it was 97. We adopted 97 animals in the month of August. So out of that 679 animal, just 100 was in August. So August is a very busy month for us. We will do National Clear the Shelter event again as well this year. The big one was in October. We hosted our first open house event, and that was really to highlight all of the wonderful changes that we had going on at the shelter. Replacing certain things, and we really just wanted to show off to the community, really expose them to something other than the lobby and really get to see what Animal Services is. We got to show off our surgery suite and show off some other great things that I'll talk about that we've updated here. Make a Difference Day, of course, we participate in that. Again, just getting our name out there in the community. We partnered with Haven Ministries for our first annual holiday pet drive donation. And that was really exciting. That was an idea that my staff came up with. And obviously throughout the holidays, everybody, you go to the store and you get your canned goods and you donate that and everything. And we wanted to be able to do that for the animals in the community. So we did our pet drive donation. We also did pet supplies. And in fact, we thought this was just going to be like a 1-week event. We ended up extending it for several weeks, and we ran out of supplies pretty much within 24, 36 hours of each week. So expect that to come back in 2024, bigger and better now that we'll be a little bit more prepared as to what to expect. So talking about my team and talking about how amazing everybody is, we have to mention our live release rate. Live release rate, if you guys aren't aware, is determined by the number of animals leaving the shelter. That's via adoption, return to owner, or transfer to another no-kill shelter. Whether that's in the state of Maryland or Pennsylvania or Virginia, we're very local when we do transfer out. The national standard to be considered no-kill is to have a minimum live release rate of 90%. And I'm happy to say our live release rate is 94.6%. And I just want to go on to show and kind of state just how important that is in the state of Maryland. Best Friends Humane Society based out of Utah has been running these statistics for years. And of all the shelters reporting to them, which is a lot in the state of Maryland, there's actually only 12 no-kill shelters in the state of Maryland, and we're proud to be one of them. And of all the counties in the state of Maryland, there's only 3. And I like to think that we're leading the charge on that, especially here on the Eastern Shore. So we're really excited to have that type of number for the last 2 years. So again, talking about some of those shelter improvements, why we had an open house. We got new cat condos to replace outdated ones and ones that did not match the ASB guideline standards that we are striving so hard every day to make sure that we're in compliance with. We also actually have brand new kennels on their way as well. They're being built as we speak. We remodeled our lobby. We replaced the countertops, added storage, and a brand new backsplash. Our countertops were so dated and they looked like chew toys, quite honestly. The dogs were having a good time whenever they would visit the lobby. and chewed them up pretty good. So we redid our lobby to make us look obviously a little bit more professional. This was, we bought a new dental machine, and this was money that we were able to save by not outsourcing all of those surgeries. And a dental machine is for cleaning and extractions for all the shelter animals. Now, this is important because any of the senior animals that come to our shelter, chances are they're going to need a dental cleaning, they're going to need extractions. Right off the bat, for anybody who wants to go and adopt an animal, you're looking at a substantial cost that is, impacts a lot of people from adopting senior animals. So we're able to do it for pennies on the dollar at the shelter. We just basically have to pay the cost of the anesthesia, and these animals leave here, and they are getting adopted out faster because it's not an expense that people have to incur as soon as they adopt a senior pet. We installed a new camera system, obviously for security. Again, we had some cost savings throughout the year. So we installed surround sound in our dog kennels. And there was a reason behind surround sound in the dog kennels. They started doing sound studies way back in 2006 and determined that the decibel level, and I won't get into specifics because I don't know anything about decibels, but the sound level was too high for these dogs, and they were stressed out. And what that does, any type of overstimulation of sound can actually affect their behavior. It can affect them physically, and it can affect them physiological. So they did more studies back in 2013. And all these studies were done by Purdue, mind you. So back in 2013, they started testing these animals with music and realized that their stress level went down. And it went down substantially in these shelters. So there was a reason, based on all of those wonderful studies, that we were able to install surround sound. So our animals, they get an hour of quiet time every day, so where nobody enters these kennels at all, allows them to decompress. And then we just set nice little music.
What kind of music?
So there's actually a program out there. It's called Through Dogs' Ears. The other thing that we actually do, and we're finding good results with this, is they like audiobooks. They like the tone, and there's studies on this too. They like the tone of the way audiobooks are read. Yep. And so we do that. So when we leave the shelter every day, we turn on our timer, and they get an audiobook or they get music for about an hour and a half. Calms them down until all the staff leaves, shelter's quiet, and I can look on the cameras and they are all sound asleep. So it's working out well for
Girls going home tonight and having everything.
I know a house that needs that.
I was going to say, wow.
We have a new outbuilding for storage and training. We got some agility equipment, and of course, this is the big one. And this is really one of the reasons we wanted to host our open house, is we put a lot of money into these yards, and you can see what was happening before in the yards. The fencing was not stable. We had dogs that were fence fighting because there was no secure blockage. There was no visual barrier, and it would stress them out. It was unsafe for the animals. It was unsafe for the staff. And honestly, we were not going to bring the public back there in that type of state of those yards. So construction began in late August, went about 7 or so weeks, and you can just kind of see the finished product there in the bottom left. And we have not had a single fence fighting incident. We have not had any incident, really. No dogs are escaping because of that custom fencing that we built. We are able to bring adopters back there for meet and greets with not just our dogs, but if they want to meet with their own dogs. And we are really utilizing these yards. That canopy does come down, so it's been down in the winter. If you do drive by the shelter, you're just going to see the frame of it. It'll be back up the week of April 1st. And that was the other thing. Our yards didn't have the proper shelter they needed to keep these dogs outside and really give them that decompression time that they needed despite the weather. So we are certainly well more prepared.
Does that canopy let water through, or does it pull up?
It's pretty good. So it's almost like the same material that like a boat canopy would have. So it's a waterproof type material. So unless we really get a drenching type rain. So what's in store for 24? So we're getting new phones to replace our old and unreliable phones. We are actually not even on the county system for our phones. So we're being integrated actually as we speak. IT is working on all of that. By one of the requests from some of our really great volunteers that come in and do laundry, they are requesting a folding area in the laundry. And honestly, our laundry area has a lot of wasted space, so we're going to be doing a little bit of work back there as well. We talked about that training barn that we just got, but other enrichment things that we're also going to be trying to implement here. We're going to be working with Dogs Play for Life, probably coming up here in the fall. And this is based on the idea that every dog, every day philosophy. Every dog gets out of that kennel every single day and put into a play group, if possible. And so again, that's why we could not move forward with this in 2023, because I did not have the yards that were able to do that. And so, we will have them come out here. They're going to train our staff to do proper play groups and make sure that these animals get that type of enrichment. And we want tired animals to put back in the kennel instead of animals that are overstimulated. So we're excited for that program. We're going to be doing some updating on our dog kennels just in general. Some of them just really need a good facelift. So we're going to be working on that. And then this is some exciting stuff that we have happening right now. And one of these programs actually just launched. We just paired up with a company called Good Pup. Good Pup is giving the county a discount. So whenever you adopt an animal from us, they scan a QR code. They get one free virtual training session at home or whenever they would like, and then get a 20% discount if they would like to go ahead and continue that virtual training at home. This is going to decrease those returns that we talked about. Those people that bring those animals home and go, it's just too much, and I need another way to get this dog to listen. They do anything from potty training to severe separation anxiety. They are all certified trainers. And not only with this program, you actually get 24-hour behavior and medical, 24-hour chat for any behavior and medical questions that they're going to be answering. This program was actually not just for any person who adopted from Queen Anne's County. This program is actually open to every resident of Queen Anne's County. All they have to do is come in, get the flyer, they scan the code, and they get the discount as well. First free training session, as well as the 20% off the Good Pup price. They can do that type of training for 5 weeks. They could do it for 6 months. Entirely up to them. They can cancel at any time, and we think that that'll be a great thing also for surrender prevention moving forward. Anybody that says, hey, listen, my dog has a behavior problem, we can now not only just give them the number to our behaviorist, but we have another resource in case they can't travel. They can do this stuff at home. So we're really excited about that. Again, that just launched 2 weeks ago. And then again, we talked about that training facility that we have, that we just built. So we are giving a complimentary class with our behaviorist when you adopt a dog from us. So you're going to come in, you get your free pup virtual training, and now you're also getting one-on-one training with our behaviorist on site at our location. So we're really excited about both of those things happening. I guess that's really all I have, unless you guys have any other questions.
Excellent work.
A lot of info, right?
It's not often that I'm speechless.
Yeah.
I need you speechless.
You need to come back every 2 weeks.
Really good.
Just amazing.
Thank you.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, not much going on there, but, she hit a few things.
I just listen. I'll leave you guys with a comment, and I just want to say that again, we talk so much about enrichment, and we talk so much about behavior and everything, and quite honestly, without the staff I have in place, none of this is possible. None of this success is possible, and really, every round of applause that Animal Services gets goes to them, and it really does. They are amazing.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Excellent.
Thanks,
Great
guys.
job. Great job.
Ken, you have pictures of dogs or cats in your buddy. You should have gone first.
Quick, you better run out and get some.
I can't imagine there's a dog in that kennel that actually has her energy levels.
Not after the doggy music. Calms you down.
All right, Commissioner.
How would you like to follow that presentation?
Well, we got Billy next.
We got, yes, so next we have our beloved Fire EMS Service Commission swearing-in ceremony of officers, Mr. Bill Faust and Buddy Thomas. Buddy couldn't make it. All right, we have Mr. Bill Faust, so I think Mr. Zach Wilson has the...
Got me this.
Before you get it, I can work with that. Okay? because I adopted my dog Comet from there in
There you go.
2020. And I built, for Parks and Rec, I built the doggy kitchen there.
That was you.
For their fair, so.
Congratulations.
Very
I
good.
understand.
All right.
All right, now you're a firefighter, you ready?
That's it, I'm ready.
Raise your right hand, use your name where I use mine. I, Jack Wilson,
I, Bill Faust,
do solemnly promise and swear
do solemnly promise and swear
that I will do the best of my ability,
that I will do the best of my ability,
fulfill the duties of the office to which I have been elected,
fulfill the duties of the office of which I've been elected,
and uphold the bylaws of the Queen Anne's County Fire and EMS Commission.
uphold the bylaws of the Queen Anne's County Fire and EMS Commission.
At the conclusion of my term of office,
Conclusion of my term of office,
I will turn over to my successor
I will turn over to my successor
all records and properties
all records and properties
entrusted to my care,
entrusted to my care,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
There we go.
Yes. Billy, real quick, how many years has it been?
What year you been commissioner?
We're working on 11. We're 10 plus.
There you go.
Start with him.
Yep.
Very good.
Very much.
You gentlemen don't understand how much the volunteers appreciate everything you do for us. And we just try to pay it forward, that's all. So, again, thank you all for all your help and understanding on everything that we do. And Ms. Margin, you always have my back. So, if you all get in trouble, she lets me know. So I'm good.
You haven't
You take a mom out to dinner?
Actually, I gotta get back to my fire company meeting. I had to come here to get this. And
There you go.
we have some other stuff, but we normally go out at least once or twice a week. So.
There you go. Very good.
Is that your mom? Does he take you out a couple nights a week?
And we go to dinner a couple nights a week. Okay. That made it a lot easier on me.
She's talking about your brother.
Yeah.
See you guys.
All right. Good to see you. All right, Commissioners, moving right along, we have item number 3 under the Presentations tab, number 6, pages 18 through 83. We have the update presentation of the Animal Control Ordinance, number 2408. We have Sharon Brinster, the attorney for the Animal Control Commission, and Chairman Jennifer Nowak, who have worked very hard on this update of Chapter 9. So they're going to give you a brief overview of the changes, and then, if you're so inclined, we can introduce this ordinance for a public hearing.
That's a lot of
for
work.
readoption. So I know they've been working very hard on this for many months, and we appreciate the effort put forth into this rewrite of the Animal Control Ordinance. So please take it away.
So I'm Sharon Brinster, the assistant attorney. This is Jen Nowak, the chairman. You have before you the read for delete version, which shows how much work has been done. Jen's going to talk about how that process went down, and then if you have any questions, it is a comprehensive update, which has never been done to Chapter 9. It's been piecemealed for I don't remember, 20 years? Yeah, so it's been done in pieces. It needed a major update, upgrade, and that's what we did over where you have all the stats, so you can.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm Jennifer Nowak, and I'm the new chair of the Animal Control Commission as of January. Handed over from Bob Mueller, which is big shoes to fill. And just to give you a background of how this revision came about, based on the experience and the knowledge of the commission members, some have been on the commission for quite a bit of time, it became apparent that some revisions needed to be made just to make it more applicable when we dealt with our cases. So these are our recommendations for those modifications. Many of the revisions are just form, some definitions revised, just making it flow better. Some are more substantive to make it flow more consistently. And I believe that changes, as Sharon said, have been made over the years, but they've been piecemealed together. This ordinance revision request is a line-by-line, start-to-finish, holistic review of the document so that the entire document flows together, the sections make sense together. We modified some things, grouped some things differently so that overall it flows much better, we think. And it was not an easy task. There was 15 meetings over the course of 9 months with all the commission members. There was a total of 27 hours each person, so hundreds of hours that the commission has spent in their time and dedication. Not to mention the county attorney, Patrick Thompson, and the assistant county attorney, Sharon Brinster, were both involved in every one of those meetings. And there were 2 other attorneys on the commission, myself and Bob Mueller, which is probably why it took so long, all these attorneys.
Too many chiefs, not enough Indians.
There were 36 suggested changes, including input from the animal control officers, animal control, the Department of Emergency Services, and Animal Services. And there were 3 full reviews of this entire document. And I would also like to note and thank the voting and non-voting members of the commission, the Animal Control Commission, who selflessly and voluntarily dedicated their time and efforts towards these revisions, and the attorneys and Animal Control and Animal Services also. And so with that, and in light of all that, we present to you this proposed revisions of the ordinance. And if you have any questions, we're here to answer them.
Where does it go from here? I mean,
I'm going to introduce it, and then it will go to a hearing.
okay.
So the Animal Control Commission has one of their purposes is to recommend legislation to you, so then you introduce it.
I have the number. Margie gave it to me. So I'm going to introduce ordinance 2408. And then I'm going to ask a specific question. Somebody sitting at home has read this. So they're asking about animal at large on large properties. The S917A.2. That it says in pursuit does that count like at White Marsh Park? Specifically, they're asking about White Marsh Park, which is 400 acres. If they have an animal out there in the morning, they're running, and they're with the animal within, what's the distance? Or is that even legal at that point, is the question being asked.
Well, the ordinance, I believe, says that they have to have control of the animal, first and foremost. So if the animal is under their control, usually on a leash is what I think the ordinance says. But if their animal gets away from them and they are chasing it, if they're in pursuit, then that, I think, would fall under the revisions.
So that would restrict anybody beachside letting their animals go in the water and things like that?
So it depends on, I'm not familiar with White Marsh Park particularly, but if it was like it depends how the property is designated. If the county says it's a public area and that dogs can roam freely upon it, such as a dog park, okay, that's fine. If it's just county property, the dogs can't run free. They're supposed to be under the control. Under control does not always mean leashed. Okay. It can be trained to be at heel and follow the commands of the owner. Does that make sense?
I didn't ask the question.
You didn't ask the question,
but
so
you've
it makes
answered
sense
it, so.
to you.
They're at home watching, so they're getting their
I'm
answers.
not familiar with White Marsh Park
It's right up here.
I know where it is,
okay.
but I'm not familiar with the animals running there or what goes on there. We haven't had any complaints from there, so that's the good news.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you.
Well, anybody else? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was a monumental task. Wow.
And Margie, do you have a scheduled date for that hearing? Not yet? We'll let you know when the hearing is, so you can be here for any public testimony that we may receive it. Thank you very much for all your work on this. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioners, and our final presentation this evening is, we have Mr. Ken Kozel, Mr. Gary Mangum, and Ms. Kathy Diotis is here. We're going to get an update on the proposed new University of Maryland Medical Systems Regional Hospital in the town of Easton. So we have a presentation. They're going to tee it up here on the screen, and it also is in your book, item Item 4 on pages 84 through 97. Tab 6.
Thanks for letting us come up and visit.
Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. How are you doing?
How are you? Great to see you again. Thank you for allowing us a few minutes of your meeting time to share with you an update on the transformation that's been occurring at Shore Regional Health for well over the last 14 years. Got a small slide presentation, and with this presentation, let's see if I can get.
Bruce, you're on.
You again for your time this evening. And, So we've got a brief presentation to share with you this evening. And before we start on today's agenda, though, I think a thank you is in order because of the last 14 years that we've been working collaboratively together with you. And I say 14 because that's about my tenure here. But what you'll learn today is rural health care is failing across the country. And I think what we've established here back in 2010, 2011 with the Emergency Center in Queen Anne's County was a perfect example of how foresight and innovation really can solve some of the challenges that healthcare presents, but more importantly, that rural healthcare presents. And what I intend to share with you today is just that additional update, that progress that we've made over the last decade plus, that will take us to our latest vision, which is the Regional Medical Center. And then I'll provide you an update with where we are on that major project. So just got a few slides to work with you today, but I thought I'd share with you a video first. This video was only 30 seconds long, but it really tries to encapsulate the challenges that rural healthcare is facing across the country. In this 30-second video, you'll learn about hospitals closing, hospitals reducing services, hospitals changing their makeup of how they're structured and function, and how much of a dire condition this is. So if you play the video, please. It's only about 30 seconds. So in the last 10 years alone, nearly 200 rural hospitals have closed across the country. 400 more are at risk for closing, mainly because of financial pressures and constraints. But again, what we've been able to do on the Midshore of Maryland, I think, has been innovative, creative, and it's really helped us not only survive a lot of the challenges that rural healthcare has been facing, but it's really allowed us to thrive. And again, I'll show you a little bit about how we've done that with your assistance and with your partnership. So this is the map of Maryland. The counties in green showcase where the University of Maryland Medical System has a presence. And just to give you a round number, the University of Maryland represents about 25% of all of the healthcare services that's offered in the state of Maryland. And that's from doctor's offices to lab tests to x-rays to hospital-based care. Everything in between. 25% of the healthcare is provided by the University of Maryland Medical System. And on this chart, you can see the red box, which is Shore Regional Health. That is our primary service area. We cover the 5 counties of the Midshore. And just to give you a sense of geography, that's about 2,000 square miles of real estate that we cover. And comparable to the state of Delaware, which is about 2,000 square miles. So that is our primary service area here on the shore, and we cover from Kent down to Dorchester County. We're considered rural because even within those 2,000 square miles, our 5-county population is only about 172,000 residents on the Midshore. And you can see the population breakdown by county. That was as of the 2020 census, I believe. So what have we been doing? This is a quick slide that shows the 5 counties of the Midshore, and it really intends to focus on those high-level transformative programs and services that we've brought to each of the counties over the last 12 years or so. And if you can pick your favorite county, you can see what we've been able to accomplish in each of the counties. But it really showcases an innovative and integrative approach to how we provide care. And again, I mentioned Queen Anne's County and the medical office building and the emergency center that was established back in 2010. It took community support for that. It took our elected official support for that. It took state senators and E.J. Pipkin to really create the vision of the emergency center and the corresponding medical office building that has primary care specialists and diagnostic testing all in that one facility, in that one building. And that really served as the framework for how we've evolved over the years. When you look at Kent County, which covers part of northern Queen Anne's County, the hospital there was failing. It had only 30 or so inpatients per day there, and a full-service intensive care unit, a full-service 24/7, 365 operating room, but not sustainable. That's why a lot of the rural healthcare hospitals across the country are failing, because of the services that they offer. But rather than close, we've been able to transform that facility in Chestertown and Kent County and create Maryland's first Maryland Rural Hospital. That's comparable to critical access hospitals across the country, where you've got about 25 beds in that facility, but it's mild to moderately complex patients that are seen in that hospital, that are admitted to that facility. If you need a higher level of care, you go to the regional medical center for that care. But it's needed in our community because it's a good hour distance from Chestertown to Easton. So we can't centralize all of healthcare. What we've done is create the ideal solution for Chestertown and for Kent County. Dorchester County is another key example where we closed the hospital on the Choptank River, right off of Route 50, the Dorchester General Hospital. But rather than leave that desert, that healthcare desert there, we've created a freestanding medical facility, very similar to what we've adopted here in Queen Anne's County, with a full-service emergency center, a medical office building with primary care specialists and diagnostic testing, and a facility that meets the local needs. But if you need inpatient care, the regional medical center becomes the answer for that. So in each individual county, we've created some solutions. And I'll just highlight one more thing in Queen Anne's County, and that is the urgent care center that we've created here on Kent Island. The 3 urgent care centers on the shore are the busiest urgent care centers in all of the University of Maryland medical system. They have proven to be a solution for after-hours coverage when primary care offices are closed and when you really don't need that emergency level of care. So it's those kinds of innovative solutions, county by county, region by region, but looking at it from an integrated perspective. All Shore Regional Health, all owned and operated through the University of Maryland medical system, that's helping us create these solutions for us.
What we're looking at there are the spokes, basically, right?
Yeah, the spokes to the hub. And this is another good slide that shows the importance of partnerships. We recognize very early on we can't create all of these solutions ourselves. We can't sustain these solutions that we've built ourselves. It takes partnerships like Chesapeake College. For a workforce that is struggling, Chesapeake College has been a beacon with providing a strong workforce in nursing and allied health professionals, clinical programs. We're just looking at starting a medical technology program at the college that will help provide workforce for the hospital system. But behavioral health partners, aging and wellness centers, bringing these partnerships, our relationship with Choptank, a federally qualified healthcare center, is critically important for providing those additional and supportive resources to our area. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Dr. Ciatola and the Mobile Integrated Community Health Program here. Huge benefit with EMS partners providing care in the home for patients who frequent our emergency center, doing those appropriate wellness checks, making sure the home is a safe environment, preventing those ER visits. It has served for the model of the state. And I have a number of other counties just within the 5-county region that want to adopt that program that we started here in Queen Anne's County in their communities as well. So again, it's creative, innovative healthcare solutions that serve the entire need of the region. And we're not stopping there. This is just a quick slide about how we continue to invest in our communities. Primary care is a critical need for the Midshore. It's a critical need across the country. But to have a good, strong foundational healthcare system in your community, you need primary care. So we intend to invest in primary care in Queen Anne's County, additional primary care providers in Talbot and Caroline counties, as well as Kent County and Dorchester County. Geriatrics is also a need. Geriatricians who see the elderly in a primary care way is critically important as well, since more than 20% of our population on the mid-shore is greater than 65 years old. So making sure we have the appropriate providers to support the healthcare needs of our aging community is essential. You know, we are the regional center that delivers babies in our region. We deliver about 1,000 babies at the shore each year. And in order to enhance that experience for mother and baby, we've made significant investments in having an OB hospitalist, that's an obstetric hospitalist on site in the hospital in Easton 24/7, 365, and an anesthesiologist. So when that mother is ready to deliver, the OB hospitalist is there, the anesthesiologist is there, and that delivery takes place in a more timely manner. As well as having a pediatric hospitalist. This is a doctor who specializes in pediatricians, in pediatric patients, on site as well, 24/7, to support the delivery of that child. The OBGYN MFM, that stands for maternal fetal medicine provider, that's a specialist that focuses on high-risk pregnancies. So having that specialist on site supports the deliveries as well. GYN oncologists, neurosciences movements, and vascular services are just other areas that we're investing in because these are needed in strong community healthcare systems. And the investment, I think, is paramount to what our community needs to provide safe, high-quality care in our region. So continuing to make investments beyond the facility renovations and buildings that we've put together. So that's the history over the last dozen plus years or so that has all helped us lead us to the regional medical center concept. And I'll share some slides with you. The first slide is an orientation slide. It kind of reminds us all of where the new facility will be built. To the far right of this slide, you see the community center and Route 50 running from top to bottom on that slide. If you're coming from the Bay Bridge to the Easton Airport, you'd pass the community center on your right. And just as you pass on your right and take that entrance into the community center, that will be the entrance to the new hospital. Instead of making a right into the center, you're going to make a left into the property that we own. And you can see it's about 236 acres of property where we'll have a loop road that will encircle the hospital, which is currently right in the center of that red circle. You see a green line that's running right through the center of the circle. That is Route 662. We're going to have to relocate that route in order to build the hospital. So there's some enabling steps that we need to do. But that's pretty much the size of the campus. The lighter shading is where we can put additional structures on place for future growth and expansion or relocation of services from town to this campus. I think when I'm long gone, this will serve as the central hub for most, if not all, of the services in Talbot County and the Midshore region that we offer today. Obstetrics, neurosurgery, orthopedics, those types of procedures offered in the center of this campus. This is a quick drawing of what the facility will look like in a block diagram. You can see 6 floors at its highest point, and with 5 floors to the left of the center elevator shaft. Each floor is identified. You can see behavioral health. We'll have a dozen behavioral health beds, acute rehab, an ICU, full service 24/7 ICU. Again, another obstetrical unit with a pediatric bed. And then as we continue to go down that slide, interventional cardiology, we'll have 7 operating rooms, and then 2 cath labs and 1 electrophysiology lab. And then on the main floor, the first floor on the right, is our emergency department services, where we'll have our treatment rooms as well as the observation rooms that will be located on that first floor adjacent to the ED, and then some of the supporting services there. On the far left of the elevator shaft, you see that's where most of our medical surgical patient beds will be located, on those 3 units, and we'll have support and dining right below those 2 areas. And then the far left of this slide, you can see, will be a 2-story medical office building. It will be roughly 60,000 square feet, and it will include administrative offices, some laboratory services, and a lot of outpatient facilities on the first floor. So that's the block diagram. The next slide tries to give you a side-by-side comparison of what we're licensed for today in Easton, and that's the first column licensed, current licensed beds, which total 118. The state assigns the number of licensed beds we have, so that's 118 today. The additional beds you can see by location all rolls up to an additional 29 beds in the new facility. And so when you come over to the total new project, you see us going from 118 to 147 total beds. That additional beds is really restricted by the state of Maryland. If we wanted to, and we wanted to build 300 beds on that campus, we would not be able to. We need the state's approval for the size facility that we're building. And in this case, for the Easton Hospital, we really pushed the envelope because the state uses a lot of calculations. They use information and data to support what they perceive the need to be from a bed size and a bed capacity perspective. We pushed the envelope by saying there is no additional hospital our size in any geographic proximity to where we are. So
That was part of the certificate of need process?
Exactly. That was the push with the CON. They heard us to use peak times instead of averages, which really reflect the demand. And as a result, they approved unanimously our additional 29 beds as part of this facility. So important, but just wanted to make clear that that is a state-regulated decision. But even with that decision, we were able to push the envelope and add an additional 29 beds. Some advancements that we've made since, hopefully you're all aware that the State Maryland Healthcare Commission approved our CON application in January of this year, which is one of 2 state agencies that have to authorize the building of this facility. We submitted our application back in January 6th of 2023. So it took a full year for the state to review and approve, but we received unanimous approval for our application on January 18th of this year. In addition, below the CON timeline, you can see some of the sources of funds. The total project cost will be just under $540 million. And you can see the breakdown of how we're going to pay for the project, some coming out in cash, $50 million in local philanthropy. The University of Maryland Medical System will authorize bonds and bond proceeds for $333 million. There'll be some interest that will generate that is earned interest for the cost of the project. And then the state grant and appropriations of $100 million. That is the other news that we have to share with you is that through Governor Wes Moore, his cabinet, as well as all the state officials, voted as part of his CIP or put in his CIP $100 million for the Easton Regional Medical Center project. That was no small feat. That took not only our state senators. Senator Hershey has been a champion for this project in Annapolis, as has Senator Mounts. The Eastern Shore delegation, present company included, supported this as the #1 project on the full Eastern Shore to Annapolis. That carried significant weight for the governor's decision to approve this project. We could not build this hospital without the governor's appropriation of $100 million. So it's critically important. This next slide just shares with you kind of the 4 major things that need to happen in order for this project to move forward. And again, the first was this Governor Moore's appropriation of $100 million in his CIP. The last step in that process is for the legislature to vote on his budget. The timeline for that is April 1st, so just right around the corner. We are hopeful that the legislature will approve his budget, which will include that $100 million allocation that actually began in fiscal 24, this fiscal year of $10 million that the legislature approved, rolls up to 3 more fiscal years of $20 million each year for 25, 26, and 27, and then the final years a $30 million allocation in fiscal 28 that totals $100 million. So the legislature will vote on the CIP on April 1st, but we are in the governor's plan. The second, as I mentioned, is the CON approval, and that was accomplished on January 18th. That is the farthest we've ever been with this project, is to get MHCC approval on our application. We have never been this far, and to get unanimous approval for the exact facility that we requested is quite the feat. The third element of our plan is to seek rate relief from the State Health Services Cost Review Commission. That is the commission that regulates hospital rates in the state of Maryland. In order to build the new hospital, we're going to carry a debt for this, and in order to pay for some of that debt, hospitals ask the state for rate increases to support that increased debt. So we are in the process of negotiating with the HSCRC now on what that rate increase will look like. We are hopeful to reach a decision with staff over the next 30 days or so, at which point the staff will make a recommendation to the commission. We are anticipating that commission meeting conversation to take place in April of this year. That's really where we need some additional support, is to get the HSCRC to approve our rate increase as part of this project. And then the fourth element is a commitment to raise $50 million locally for this project. So that is in process. We've started kind of the silent phase of a capital campaign, if you will, and are starting to talk to donors about donating to our facility. Here's a quick timeline, short and sweet, but as you can see, back in 2022 in September, this is far left to right, we received UMS and Shore Board approval to proceed with the project with those conditions that I just had on the previous slide that had to be fulfilled. We submitted the CON in January of 23 and received approval in January 24. You can see on the top of 2024 in red, where the spring of 2024 is where we're hopeful we'll get the rate application decision from the HSCRC. And if that takes place as we expect, then by summer of 2024, likely in the month of June, we would seek approval with the UMS board to proceed with this project. And I'm not sure if you're aware, but I'll just, a finer point, Mr. Gary Magnum is on the UMS board and has served on that board and has served the Shore incredibly well with his commitment, his passion, and his dedication to this project and to everything we've been doing on the Shore. So UMS has also Dr. Ciatola, who isn't here tonight, but he is also a Mid-Shore community member who is on the University of Maryland board, as is Mr. Keith McMahon, representing Caroline County. Caroline County on the Shore board, but also on the University of Maryland Medical System board. All three UMS board members from the Shore have been staunch advocates of this project and are leading the charge with the UMS board, as is Kathy Diotis, who was our board chair for the University of Maryland Shore Regional Health. Kathy has been serving in that role as chair, and I love Kathy's favorite term, failure is not an option. We are not going to fail. We are going to succeed with this project, and with Kathy as a lead, I have no doubt that our Shore board will support this moving forward. So we're looking at the June timeframe as the possible date for bringing this back in front of the UMS board for final approval. If and when that takes place, then we can start the enabling steps on the property in the summer of this year. Starting to move some dirt, starting to enable and get the property ready for what will be spring of next year to put a shovel in the ground. With the shovel in the ground in the spring, it will likely take 30 to 36 months to build. So give or take, by spring of 2028, the project will be complete. We'll need a few months to get it ready for patients' access, but we're anticipating at this point, if things go to plan, by summer of 2028, the building will be open and ready for use. And these are just some pictures of the facility. This is an aerial view of the front entrance. You can see the 6 stories on the far right, the 5 stories just to the back, and then the 2-story medical office building adjacent to the hospital proper. Bringing the plane down, if you're parking in the front entrance, this will be your visual as you enter into the main entrance of the facility. Back entrance, will EMS and ambulance bays will bring our patients in to our emergency department. Again, a beautiful emergency department in this building, also comparable number of ED bays, but also observation beds will be adjacent to the emergency department. So that will help with any overflow. We can use those beds for multiple purposes right off the ER. So in days like today, when we're experiencing a heavy volume of patients in the ER, we can use that space to help support patient throughput and care.
The glass on the front view reminds me a little bit of Godowski. The Godowski building?
Yes, yes. Yep. This is an artist rendering of the front lobby. So as you come in the front lobby, a little different than what we've got today. I don't know if you've been there, but I'm
It's a little bit.
I'm 5'8", and I almost hit my head on the ceiling. And this one, we have a little bit more room, but this is really designed to showcase the facility, but also to complement the care that's being provided in the units upstairs. And this is just an example of the floor where we have patients that will be seen on our med-surg unit. This is one example. Modern technology, state-of-the-art technology, all private rooms. Today we've got over a dozen semi-private rooms where 2 people share with the curtain separating in that space, not conducive to the quality of care that we need on the Mid-Shore. So this will be all private rooms, Again, just state-of-the-art technology that will support patient care. This is a quick picture of one of the patient rooms. Plenty of space to move equipment in and out, plenty of space for more than one visitor. Again, today, even in the private rooms, we can't get all the equipment we need and still have one visitor in that room. Sometimes we have to move things around to get to provide the care we need to provide. But this will allow us that space, and this will also allow for family members, at least one family member, to spend the night. And at times that can be a comforting, healing strategy for a patient to have somebody close by in the room with them. So important aspect of the new room. Just a quick summary slide. I shared with you at the very beginning that rural healthcare is failing across the country. That is not an option for us in the state of Maryland. That's not an option on the Eastern Shore. We have been working hard over the last 14 years, starting with your support as the original vision for the Midshore by creating innovative solutions that are not only working at the time, but are sustainable and financially viable for the future. So huge innovation and benefit to what we're doing here on the Midshore. We've spent the last 14 years creating this regional center that is all then predicated on the regional hospital for the Midshore. And it really has taken an enormous amount of people and time and energy to get us from where we are to where we are today. Again, I can't thank you enough for your support, for everything. You know, we have such a great relationship. I believe that we have shared interest, common vision for our community, and that's materialized into outstanding care for our community. And I just believe that as we complete this innovative vision, that it could serve as the model for healthcare across the country, and maybe convert some of those who are failing back to the community anchors that are needed in these rural communities. So with that, again, one final thank you for your unwavering support and just for your partnership.
So sitting here and watching this presentation takes me back to meetings that I attended with Commissioners Steve Ahrens when we first served in 2011 to 2014, meeting with folks from in Annapolis and trying to figure out how we were going to push this certificate of need back in 2011 and 2012. And to sit here and watch this presentation, and it's amazing that we finally got here. Absolutely amazing.
There's a lot of us that feel that way.
If it's okay, I'd like to add one thing to what Ken talked about, and that's the experience that I've had on this particular board has been unlike any other. And when originally asked about serving on the board, I had no concept as to what I could add, given what I read and what I learned about what the system does. Dr. Ciatola was mentioned a couple times here tonight, and I have to say that my first meeting that I attended, you know, I had planned on just keeping my mouth shut for a year, but Dr. Ciatola gave just added so much to that group, and was obviously very well respected. I latched on to him very quickly after the meeting and arranged to spend some time with him. Before he would go into work, we would meet for coffee. End of his day, we would meet for coffee, and he really helped me understand how the operation works over here and the larger operation, the larger umbrella. I'm a slow learner, and I needed to see to really start to understand. So he introduced me to Ken. In fact, Ken came in a couple of meetings later and presented the plan for this regional medical center. And through Dr. Cia's help, through being able to meet Ken and then get out and tour not just the Easton Hospital, but the rest of the facilities that the Shore manages and runs on a day-in and day-out basis. Senator Hershey came on the second day of the tour, and we got out into most of the properties. And from that, and Scott Haas, I see him in the room, and he was able to get me out on ambulance service to be able to see how the emergency departments actually operate, not just here, but across the bridge as well, because of the way that the ambulances flow. And it was really quite incredible, and it's just created this passion across the people that are working on this project, and the sense of urgency. The reason that we're here tonight specifically is the remaining pieces of the puzzle require action, and that action is the community philanthropy. And when he says community, I automatically think of right where we are, but obviously it's the 5-county area. I'd like to think our community could support that philanthropy number, and maybe it can someday. But right now we're asking about, a very different number, but a real sense of urgency to try and move things forward.
One thing I want to add, and most people, I guess, besides the hospital itself, I don't think anybody's really looking at something that's even larger for the Mid-Shore, and that's the fact that you're about to invest $500 million, and that's a lot of jobs, that's a lot of small businesses that are going to thrive through what might be some tough years coming ahead. And so I don't want that to go unnoticed, and how much that's going to help the Mid-Shore through the next 3-4 years. I mean, I worked on AAMC when they built the original North Tower over there, and saw how many people were employed just for that smaller, I call small North Tower now, looking at the complex, and you're looking at a pretty similar complex here. And I know at any given time we had 400 to 500 people working on the project. So that's a lot of people it's going to affect the Mid-Shore, especially our contractors and all. So I'm glad to see that. And anybody else, I'll make a motion if you want to, or you got anything to say? Go ahead.
Let's do it. Well, and I assume from our previous meeting, you are assigned the task of raising $50 million. Is that a fair assumption?
A fair assumption, yes.
Okay, well, I mean, we all these commissioners sitting here, we all know how important this hospital is to Queen Anne's County and to the region. And, we're ready to do our part. So I'm going to make a motion that we move to designate $5 million from the fund established from the Four Seasons Developers Rights and Responsibilities Agreement to be allocated toward the University of Maryland Medical System's Regional Medical Center in Talbot County, to be dispersed in 4 equal annual installments between FY25 and FY28.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. So hopefully that helps you get off of first base and
10% of it.
Yeah.
Can I give you a round of applause?
Like I said, the way we look at it, we're one of the larger counties population-wise, and this comes out to about $100 a head. And once again, we were, if you can call it a blessing, to have the developers' rights and responsibilities. This does not come out of tax money, taxable income to any of our citizens. So, this is a win. We had a similar thing when we did the solar arrays with preserving farmland. We were able to spend this funding without pulling it from anywhere else in the county that is needed. So, it is, timing is everything. So
I just want to, this is not the first time I have been before you thanking you for understanding and recognizing and supporting improving access to world-class healthcare for your citizens. So here I am again. This started with hospice services, grief services, and now this is the whole enchilada here. We are so grateful for your recognition of the need for it and your support for it.
We'll get it.
The set of commissioners, those that sat before you, just incredible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
May I?
Thank you.
Full steam ahead.
Let's go.
Oh, wait, Patrick?
Mr. Kozel, can I just kind of plant a seed here? And I know you're going to, when I'm done, you're going to say, man, that's a year or 2 or 3 down the road. But I was hoping that Billy was going to stay here. Our first responders, a significant amount of their calls are auto accidents, MVC. And a lot of them go to the hospital. And during the summer, as you know, the bridge is backed up. And if they're severe, they are flown out to shock trauma, which is phenomenal. But the point I'm trying to get at is, as you're developing this and you've got your 25 units in the emergency room, consider a operating room in the emergency room specifically for trauma cases. So when there's carnage on the road and they can't get over the bridge, Scott can't get over the bridge, they can go to Easton and if you have a trauma surgeon because as I was looking at your great presentation, I noticed that there wasn't a trauma surgeon. Something to think about. I don't know if I'm connecting here, but in a life or death situation, a trauma surgeon can help someone who's been in a really bad auto wreck and save their life when they can't get to shock trauma. And we could do that in Easton. And they don't have to specifically be a trauma surgeon. They could be a general surgeon / trauma. They could be an orthopedic / trauma. But it's just something to think about having a mini shock trauma in the emergency room for cases like that.
So much.
Thank
you again.
all.
We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you very much. Hanging out.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Kathy. All right, Commissioners, that concludes our presentations for this evening. We do have 5 action items under new business. So if you'd like to turn to tab number 3, we can run through those. So the first item under tab 3, pages 1 through 6, this is a proposal to provide a county match to participating employees that are engaged in our 457 plan, which is a supplemental deferred compensation plan to supplement Social Security and Maryland State Retirement. We are proposing a match for our participating members and a flat, $10 per pay amount at the start. And this is really a mechanism for us to try to connect, the new employees to provide them an incentive to stay with the program, stay with the county, stay employed at the recruitment and retention policy. And so we feel this is a great program for us to consider.
I move that the 457B Governance Committee, under the direction of the Director of Human Resources, engage the services of Bolton to develop and implement a 401A plan to present to the Commissioners for final approval with an anticipated start date of January 2025.
Second. We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So moved.
Thank you very much, Commissioners. Item 2 on pages 7 through 14, this is for the Historic Stevensville Arts and Entertainment District. This is a proposal for a road mural in downtown Stevensville. We applied for a grant, and we were awarded that grant of $50,000 to support traffic calming in downtown Stevensville. And we partnered with Historic Stevensville Arts and Entertainment District and various county departments. Our Roads Division, Shane Moore's here, and Heather Tonelli is here as well. And this traffic calming plan would produce a mural on a street. What's I guess that's Love Point Road. Yeah, right there in front of the. I still call it No Place, but that's the section of the roadway that we're talking about there for this particular road mural. And there's some pictures in the. In your books there, just to show you what that would look like.
I move to approve the proposed road mural on Love Point Road in the historic Stevensville Arts and Entertainment District as outlined and described in the proposal for Cumsell Brown Jr., funded by the grant funds from the Maryland DHCD Community Safety Works Grant.
Second. We have a motion. We have a second. Comments?
Wow. I think it's a great idea.
This is cool.
The more we can do to sort of, spruce up downtown Stevensville, drive more people to go into downtown Stevensville, helps us local businesses. And I'd like to see more activity going on in downtown Stevensville. It's something I want to make sure that we're focused on even more in addition to this and getting that area going.
We often get complaints from the local business owners, and not complaints. It's really just more bringing awareness to, the folks that are traveling through town at a speed higher than what is posted. And there's a lot of foot traffic, during the summertime through there. And I think what a great idea when you think of calming devices, you think of speed bumps, But to me, this is brilliant. And if we could, get a picture of, a painting or a mural of this, that would certainly slow people down.
Or speed up to get out of there quicker.
Let's keep it clean now.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, we don't want the audience leaving.
So But can you imagine, approaching the stop sign and literally driving over the top of a mural and slowing down to take the time to look at the mural and then realizing the last thing you see is big, huge white letters that say stop? What a great idea. I'd like to think we're leading the charge. We'll take credit for it. So we have a motion, we have a second. Any other further discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved. I yield the chair
that's it.
back to our president.
That'll jazz things up in Stevensville for sure. That'll be
yeah.
nice. All right, Commissioners, moving right along. Item number 3 on pages 15 through 24. These are the 3 citizen-sponsored text amendments that we received this year in February. They're just here for transmission back to the Planning Commission. So we have permitted uses in open spaces, neighborhood conservation district dimensional and bulk standard requirements, and neighborhood conservation district residential density intensity requirements. These were all submitted by the Bay Area Realtors Association.
I move to convey county ordinances 24-05, 06, and 07 to the Planning Commission for investigation and recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Somebody knows when we get citizen-sponsored text amendments, we automatically send them over to the Planning Commission for the investigation and their recommendation. So
it's a time once a year where citizens can take the opportunity to have some changes made to either zonings or usages and things of that nature. And this is just an example of the citizens getting involved in their community.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? So moved.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. Our last 2 items we can take together. This is House Bill 899 and Senate Bill 691. This is for firefighters and EMS recruitment and retention, scholarship and loan repayment assistance support letter, the House and Senate versions of these bills. This is a MACO initiative as well, so these are the 2 support letters we had this evening.
Move to execute the letter of support for HB 899, higher education, firefighters and EMS recruitment and retention, scholarship and loan repayment assistance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
I move to execute the letter of support for SB 691, higher education, firefighters and EMS recruitment and retention, scholarship and loan repayment assistance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on this item. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. That is all of the action items this evening. We can do press and public comment, or we can do roundtable. No one virtual?
We'll go right to the round
Round
table.
table it
then.
is.
Be out there? No, they have nothing.
Nope,
I think we've, yeah.
home alone. Margie, you got anything? Okay, all right, well. Jack, you want to go first?
Sure.
There you go.
So, highlighting the bills we just voted on, the 2 firefighter bills, I think they're going to be great for recruitment and retention. Shout out to MACO and everybody involved with MACO. This was one of their initiatives this year, and it looks like this is going to go through with flying colors, which is awesome. But I want to discuss another MACO initiative, which I think is even more important than this one, that will set the tone for the next, 8 years of school funding in the state of Maryland at the county level. And that is that their initiative this year is to have the local Board of Eds basically budget like our departments do, so that if they come with a baseline budget, and then the over and aboves, the asks that we have right now, the one we're dealing with for $9 million based on the latest Board of Ed meeting, that will have to be an enhancement, just like we ask our departments to say, okay, why do you want X over what is actually required to run the department from the previous year? And surprisingly, you would think this would be a very tough push in Annapolis, but there seems to be a tide this year to, and it's because all 24 jurisdictions are on board with this. Because I think, thankfully, people are waking up and realizing transparency in any budgeting. I don't care if it's EMS, education, whatever, it should all be something that the public can look at, understand, and know where the money's being spent. And we, as the people that are the stewards of the taxpayer dollars, as the commissioners, I think it's even better for us because it gives us the way to answer people when they ask specific questions. I hate getting asked about the Board of Ed budget because, quite frankly, I don't have those answers, and I can't get those answers from looking at the Board of Ed budget because it's very narrow. It doesn't go down, for lack of a better term, into the weeds, so you can actually see where all the dollars and cents are going. So I think this is a great tool that future commissions will be able to utilize going forward. And, you know, it's probably long overdue. Why wouldn't the largest portion of our budget have to budget the way the rest of our budget does? So I'm hoping that this gets through. I think it'll definitely be something. We won't be able to utilize it this year because it actually probably wouldn't get signed in until July 1st. So it would be for next year's budget cycle. Because I know, Jim, you and Phil have met with the board, and I've watched the board meeting to see, you know, and I remember last year, you know, the talk was that this next 3 years we were going to have to fund the board at $5 million, which we all kind of bit the bullet on and said, you know what, if that keeps us on the pace with Kerwin, I'm good with that. You know, we can live with that. We can make that work. But when you come back and you double the ask the next year, I don't know. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I just have a problem with, you know, doing the best we can in the county to keep the taxes down, having the lowest, the lowest property tax in the state for all intents and purposes, and being able to provide the services we are. We're building a new Board of Ed building. We're not bonding any money right now to do that kind of stuff. It's just very discouraging as a commissioner to sit up here and have them come back and ask for basically what amounts to another 10% over top of what they basically told us they were going to budget out for the next few years. So hopefully next year that won't be an issue, and we'll know in advance and we'll know where it's going. But right now I'm just, like I said, a little disenfranchised with how things are working out or looking from the education funding, not only in Queen Anne's County, but what I know statewide. And Commissioner Moran at the last meeting gave the moment of silence for education in the state of Maryland, unfortunately. Yeah, so that's all I got.
Patrick?
Thank you, Jack. Well said. I had the opportunity of going to Crumpton for their banquet, so I think I only have 2 more fire departments to go to. But I wanted to give a shout out to the top fire responders for Crumpton, and my eyesight is so bad I can't read them. The third place was Wade Schauber, Kevin Coniglio. Second place was William Elborn. And the top responder with 132 calls was Jacob Elborn. So I just wanted to give a shout out to those folks. And the top EMS responders was Dawn Papapazar. Second place was Chris Tingen with 80 calls. And the top EMS responder of 102 calls in Crumpton was Justin Skinner. So I just wanted to give them a shout out.
Very good. Yeah. Good. Philippe?
So congratulations to our Queen Anne's County Women's Lions varsity basketball team for winning North Bayside. They put up a heck of a fight at the Bayside Championship game down in Salisbury at the Civic Arena. It's a great basketball game. They came up just short. Good news, though, our high school basketball teams are competing in the state playoffs. So I want to wish good luck to
men and women, or
yep.
Both schools.
Both schools. Every school gets to compete in the state playoffs. It's a win-lose thing.
Oh, okay.
If you win, you keep going. If you lose, you're out. But the Lady Lions look good this year. In fact, I think
they're young too, right?
Yeah. Actually, yeah. There's a starting freshman, 2
sophomores, right?
A starting sophomore, 2 starting juniors. In fact, the starting lineup are all coming back next year, so it'll be exciting to see them. But best of luck to both our boys and girls varsity basketball teams, high school basketball teams at both our schools as they move into the state playoffs. Had an opportunity to attend the Bay Area Association of Realtors Awards breakfast last week. It was an opportunity to see some amazing work that our local realtors are doing in a very, very difficult market. And that was a treat. And of course, we all provided certificates of congratulations to those. So those are positive notes following Jack's
Doom and gloom.
concerns about educational funding, where we're going with that.
There we go. Counselor?
All right. Since we did a lot of talk about legislation, I want to take a minute to thank Commissioner Wilson for all his work with MACO during the legislative session. It is a huge amount of work that he goes through and getting to know all the legislation that's affecting the counties and making sure that not just Queen Anne's County, but rural counties in general, that our interests are being protected. So thank you, Jack. I appreciate it. I don't think the citizens of Queen Anne's County probably understand how big of that. It's a whole nother job in and of itself. It really is. It's a lot. So I appreciate that. There were some questions at the beginning when we had the hearing about the water and sewer and the notice that goes out. And something I was thinking of that we should look at, and I don't know if how we can do this, Todd, but a lot of places where you go, there's a QR code you can scan with your phone. It automatically goes to a web page that has information. And something we hear a lot whenever there's a signage out for any sort of hearings coming up, whether it's water, sewer, or zoning, not enough information on the sign. You can only put so much information on a sign. The drivers aren't paying attention as they're driving by. But if we could adapt a QR code that everybody's got a cell phone, they can scan it, takes in the page, it has all the information on that project they want. It gets more information to the public. Frankly, don't think it's going to make much of a difference in who turns out, because it's work to show up and say how you feel about something. It's easier to go on social media and complain, but I am a big proponent of getting as much information out there as we can. Maybe I'll be proven wrong, and giving more information will encourage the public to become more active. But as I always say, showing up at meetings and saying how you view goes a lot further than complaining on social media that the commissioners don't care about anything. I mean, how many times do you see that? It's ridiculous. The information's out there, but if we can make it even easier for people to find, I think that's a...
And you're taking all that money from the developers.
Right, all the conspiracy theories, yeah. So that's why I cut my own hair, right? So
that's a great idea, the QR code.
Yeah, it should be. I think it's something we could probably do fairly easily.
Absolutely.
And just the information's already there, right? So it's just a link for that, and it's just one more shortcut. Sometimes when you have the flyers and the tubes, it rains and they get wet, it's harder. So maybe if we incorporate that would help a little bit.
Whatever happened to the being able to advertise electronically in place? Did that ever materialize, or was that you had to make the choice to do that, or what?
That was a bill that was in session last year that didn't get through the process. I don't know. I haven't seen it this year, so I guess it didn't come back. But let's face it, how archaic are we going to stay where we put it in the paper? How many read a paper?
Right,
I'm not even going to say once a day. I'm going to say once a month, right?
Yeah.
Right.
People get their information differently.
Yeah. And so, and I would say probably 80% of the public now is doing it with either cell phone, computer, iPad, whatever, versus buying a newspaper. And granted, I know people still buy newspapers, but you got to hit. Maybe that's why we didn't have anybody show up, because if it had been on social media, on Facebook, we'd had 100 people in here. You know what I mean? So I think we can adopt that local and utilize that and make it our own code to do that. And I think it's something we should look at doing here, and maybe be a trendsetter for the rest of the state, that we don't have issues where a sign blew over. So someone wants to cancel a hearing because a sign blew over. I get it, but that's how they did it 50, 60 years ago. We're way past that with technology.
Yeah. So if we can adapt.
The QR code is a great idea, because I'd use that for everything now.
It's very commonplace now.
Very good. I want to start with a week ago Saturday, I was able to go to the Kennard Museum, as I guess I'm going to call it now, in Clay, Washington, put on an event there for African Americans working the waters of the Chesapeake. And it was awesome. It really was. It was a great, I just want to give a shout out to Clay. When I first became a commissioner, he was here. He was here all the time because he was trying to raise money to get the building refurbished and bring it back to life with a vision. And he came 3 years in a row, and God bless him, the first time he says, if you give me this, help me out with this, I think I can raise the rest. And the next year he was there, he goes, well, if you give me this, I think I can raise the rest. And he stuck with it, and he got it done. The museum's great. If you ever get an opportunity, stop in there and look at it and check it out. But he was there on Saturday, just constantly with a positive message, and I just think kudos to him. That whole the organization that runs there, and he's part of that board. They're blessed to have him there. I just think he's just a great guy. Second thing I want to talk about is the town hall. The town hall, everybody, we mailed these out. Again, is April 10th at 6:30 p.m. at Bayside Elementary School, and we're going to have boards up showing the routes for these closed ramps. And we're going to take comment, and we're going to make a presentation, and hopefully bring a little bit of more information to the public on what we can do, what we can't do. And in that, we're going to listen to suggestions, but again, this isn't just about Stevensville or Chester or Graceville. It's about the whole county. Our lifeline is Route 50, and we want to keep that traffic out on Route 50 and out of our communities. And the last thing I want to talk about is what we did tonight with University of Maryland Shore Medical in allocating $5 million towards that new hospital. I just, if you talk to Kathy Diotis, Gary Mangum, or Ken Cazell, or any of the commissioners, and especially in emergency services, how important this hospital is going to be to this region, and what it's going to do with the existing bridge and with the traffic and the access to quality care. We have an emergency room here which handles small things, and that's what it's supposed to do, so it doesn't clog up your hospital. And they've got those in the adjoining counties, and I think that this regional hospital will be huge, and I think it's going to fill a major gap. And more importantly, how we funded it. I mean, as we talk about the school budget, and we're getting ready to get into the budget cycle, we were, thank goodness for some forward thinking way back in the day when Four Seasons was coming. I mean, to date, they've put a brand new bathroom along the Cross Island Trail. They built a brand new $10 or $11 million freshwater wells that now service the entire county, the lower portion of the county. And they've given to the fire department about $500,000 to date. And this funding is only, I think it's less than half of what we will be getting. These are per unit cost, and this was outside of our budget. So we're not taking away money from any other projects or any other needs, but thank goodness that money was there so we could help out, get this project moving, because the sooner it's done, the better off everybody's going to be in our community. And that's all I got to say about that.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much.